Hi, I'm Mark Donovan from HomeEditionPlus.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a bat house. So I'm building a single chamber bat house. It's going to be about 24 inches long and about 14 inches wide and about 4 inches in depth. I'm going to be using a 3/4 inch exterior grade type piece of plywood to build it. I've also got some 1x3 material for the sides and roof of the bat house. In addition, I'm using a can of exterior grade latex paint. It's safe for the bats. We're only going to be painting the exterior of the bat house. And some silicone caulk, exterior grade caulk that is paintable. So the first thing I'm going to do is use my table saw to cut the plywood into the appropriate size and lengths for this bat house. Next, I'm going to rip my 1x3 stock into a 2 1/4 inch wide strip using my table saw. Now, using a miter saw, I'm going to cut my side rails and roof to length. So now I'm cutting the roof at a 30-degree angle so it'll have a nice tilt on it. So for the front panel of the bat house, I'm now going to rip it at a 30-degree angle at the top so that the roof line lines up flush with the top of the front panel. Now I'm cutting the side rails, again at the top at a 30-degree angle. I'm cutting the bottom of the rail straight across. And now I'm cutting a 1 inch wide piece of material that will fit on the back side, bottom edge of the top panel, which acts as a predator guard for critters from getting in and attacking the bats. And for my last piece of lumber cutting, I'm cutting a small piece of wood for a ceiling that'll sit underneath the roof line of the bat house, just to make sure the bats stay nice and dry. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1/2 inch wide grooves, 1/8 inch in depth, from the bottom front panel of the bat house to the very bottom of the back of the panel. This will allow the bats to be able to crawl their way up into the bat house. So I set my saw for about an 8 inch depth, and we're just going to make multiple passes, 1/2 inch wide, all the way down. And so now we have our lines going across the bottom of it to allow the bats to crawl up into the bat house itself. To actually fasten the various components together of the bat house, I'm using 1 5/8 inch galvanized screws. And I'm going to drill a pilot hole for the screws so that they sink in well and don't damage the surface of the wood as I screw the screws into the wood. And with the pilot holes drilled, I'm now just screwing in the screws with this drill gun. And so now I've secured the side rails of the bat house to the back frame. And now I'm putting the internal ceiling of the bat house and attaching it to the side rails with 1 screw on each side. Again, I'm pre-drilling a pilot hole to make sure that the wood doesn't split in any way. And now I'm fastening it with a screw. And now I'm attaching the predator bar that'll go again between these side rails and right to the top surface. So now what I'm doing is putting a piece of screen mesh into the back side, or onto the back side of the bat house. I'll also do one on the back side of the front panel. This allows the bats to basically climb up and cling onto the screen as they crawl into the bat house. I'm just tacking it down with some staples. And now I'm attaching some screen to the back side of the front panel. Now I'm applying a paintable silicone latex based caulk on the inside seams to prevent any water from getting in. Finally, I'm applying a thin bead of caulk to the inside edges of the top plate. So when I turn it over and secure it with screws, we get a nice watertight seal on the front side. And again, I'm just drilling pilot holes for the screws to fasten the top face to the rest of the bat house. Now I'm just using a palm sander here to basically make the surface nice and smooth and ready for paint. So now again, I've caulked very well on the seam or the ceiling portion and all around the periphery edges, and now I can just attach my roof, push it into place, and then we'll fasten it down with a couple screws. And finally, we're going to apply one small thin bead of caulk to the top of the roof line, again to make sure the bats stay nice, warm, and dry. Now what I'm about to do is drill a series of 1/4-inch holes about 6 inches up from the bottom, a 1/2 inch spaced, basically to allow airflow into the bat house for the bats to be able to easily breathe. Now I'm drilling a couple holes for mounting purposes to a tree or a stand. I've spaced the holes so they're 2 inches apart from each other, centered in the middle. So I've completed the bat house. All that's left is the painting. I'm going to paint it, let it dry overnight, and tomorrow I should be able to install it in a tree. And now I'm just wrapping up my second and final coat of paint on the bat house to wrap up the project. Here's the finished bat house. All I'm going to do now is install it. You want to install it at least 15 feet off the ground, facing south or southeast, with at least 20 to 30 feet of clear open exposure for the bats to be able to fly into it. And that's all there is to building a bat house. If you'd like to order an ebook on how to build this bat house, or would like to actually purchase one online, visit homeeditionplus.com today.